I just made so many Juggernauts with this new deck. People look at Graaz, Unstoppable Juggernaut, and immediately write him off. He's 8 mana, and as a commander, pins you into being colorless, but that's a huge benefit. This 7/5 Juggernaut makes all Juggernauts attack each combat if able, can't be blocked by walls, and best of all, turns other creatures you control into 5/3 Juggernauts. Yes, best of all, because turning something into a Juggernaut doesn't remove what it was before. So if you had a 1/1 Flying Thopter, that's now a 5/3 Flying Thopter Juggernaut. Anything that baseline had evasion from tokens to vehicles just gets this power and toughness boost. Putting a +1/+1 counter on your creatures like with a Steel Overseer or the new Lux Artillery or Scavenged Brawler is just icing on the cake, turning a 0/0 with 3 counters on it into a 5/3 with 3 counters on it, making a huge impact, usually in your opponent's face. Being colorless can be considered an upside since you get to run all of the mana rocks you can cram in the deck, along with artifact cost reducers like Cloud Key and big payoffs for your artifacts like Blinkmoth Urn to ramp you to your 8 mana commander. But how do you, like me, make enough Juggernauts to stomp all over your opponents? First, be sure to like, subscribe, and let me know how much you like this brew. Be sure to hit that bell to become part of the pit crew too. Here's how this deck performed in-game. I had a few mana artifacts in play and a Shimmer Mirror, getting close to casting my commander with no other creatures in play. But thanks to the Shimmer Mirror, I was able to flash in Canoptic Scarab Swarm on my opponent's turn just before mine. In this case, I chose to exile my own graveyard, something you can do with the Swarm since my graveyard was nothing but lands and artifacts. This made me an extra 7 insect tokens, allowing me to untap on my turn, cast my commander, and suddenly those 8 1/1 flying insects I had, they were now 5/3 flying Juggernauts. It turns out a sudden 40 power in the air is a lot for opponents to deal with. But that's not the only way this deck can win. You may notice there are a lot of lands and artifacts that make colored mana in the deck, and that's because Lux Artillery is the backup in this bad boy. Taking advantage of Lux Artillery to make your artifact creatures larger with Sunburst is baseline pretty good, but it's doubly so when those counters are now on 5/3 attackers. And the more counters you rack up, the closer you get to dealing an extra 10 damage to each opponent at the end of your turn. All you need is 30 counters across artifacts and creatures you control. That's pretty easy with Hangerback Walker, Everflowing Chalice, and Steel Overseer, all naturally getting counters or putting counters on everything you control. But the big money is in cards like the Ozolith, being a receptacle for all of your counters, or Geometric Nexus, getting more and more counters as your opponents cast spells. Or Eternity Vessel, which can come down with 30 counters on it all on its own. In fact, in one game I played with this deck, I had tried to go for an early win with Graaz, but had him removed. Twice. Not wanting to pay 12 mana for my commander, I resorted to Lux Artillery. Thanks to an Everflowing Chalice and Vexing Puzzle Blocks, I had 30 counters already on permanents I controlled. Once I cast Lux Artillery, at that stage in the game, I just needed to survive 2 turns to take my opponents out. So I put up the walls and tanked a bit of damage, but made it back to my turn, and again I passed straight through to my end step, doing the last 10 damage needed to finish everybody off. Sometimes, in this deck or any deck, being put on a clock late in the game goes unanswered. Whether that clock is a 5/3 flying Juggernaut army or 10 damage each turn cycle, games end fast. We run more removal and we ask people to run more removal, but chances are, late in the game, our hands have run dry and you might not be running answers for everything. This deck isn't for everyone, but if it's for you, it is for you. If you're making it yourself, you can easily build it on a budget, replacing some of the more expensive lands with wastes, and you can easily knock $200 off the cost to build. Take a look at the full deck list, linked in the description, thanks to my sponsor, Moxfield. Moxfield is the best deck building platform in the world, and I couldn't have built this deck without their powerful search tools. Be sure to follow my profile while you're there. And be sure to check out these other videos. Like, subscribe, and as always, good luck and have fun.